Frank Zappa was never an artist who respected boundaries. Across his vast and often confrontational body of work, he dismantled genre rules with surgical precision, blending jazz, classical complexity, avant-garde noise, satire, and absurdist humor into a language that belonged solely to him. Just as fearless in conversation as he was in composition, Zappa developed a reputation for voicing opinions that were frequently harsh, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. Throughout the 1960s and beyond, he openly questioned the artistic legitimacy of many of his peers. He expressed frustration with musicians he believed had surrendered innovation in favor of commercial comfort, and few sacred cows of popular music escaped his scrutiny. To Zappa, success without substance was meaningless, and popularity often signaled compromise rather than achievement. Yet reducing him to a permanent contrarian would be misleading. Zappa was not opposed to praise, he was simply selective. When he admired an artist, it was because he recognized originality, risk, and a willingness to challenge expectations. His respect for figures like Neil Young and Johnny Guitar Watson reflected that principle. These musicians, in his view, possessed integrity and an instinct for pushing their craft forward rather than following market trends. One of the more surprising revelations from Zappa's musical taste emerged when the conversation turned to punk and new wave. Despite rarely exploring punk rock in his own recordings, Zappa did not dismiss the movement outright. Instead, he acknowledged that certain artists within the scene captured something authentic and necessary. Among them was a band few might expect to earn his approval, Blondie. At the height of punk's emergence, Blondie stood apart. While often grouped with the punk movement, the band operated in a space that blended sharp pop instincts with the raw energy of downtown New York's underground scene. Led by Debbie Harry, Blondie fused punk attitude, early new wave experimentation, and classic pop melody into something accessible yet subversive. Zappa was drawn to that balance. Blondie did not merely imitate the aggression of punk, they reshaped it, injecting irony, theatricality, and a knowing sense of humor. This approach aligned closely with Zappa's own artistic instincts, even if the sonic results were radically different. Among Blondie's catalog, one track stood above the rest in Zappa's estimation. Their 1976 debut single, originally titled Sex Offender and later renamed Ex-Offender. The song arrived before Blondie became global hitmakers and before their sound had been streamlined for mainstream radio. What it offered instead was a bold narrative wrapped in deceptively upbeat punk instrumentation. The song told the story of a sex worker reflecting on a brief and emotionally detached encounter with law enforcement. Rather than portraying the situation with melodrama or outrage, the narrative unfolded with a strange lightness, almost casual in tone. This contrast between subject matter and delivery gave the track its unsettling power. The music bounced with punk immediacy, while the lyrics hinted at loneliness, resignation, and emotional distance beneath the surface. That contradiction was likely central to its appeal for Zappa. Throughout his career, he gravitated toward material that exposed social absurdities without resorting to sentimentality. Ex-Offender did precisely that. It challenged listeners by refusing to moralize or simplify its subject, allowing discomfort to exist alongside humor and melody. The song also signaled Blondie's refusal to fully conform. Even the decision to rename the track suggested tension between artistic intent and external pressure, a struggle Zappa knew all too well. Despite that compromise, the song retained its edge, standing as a document of a band still operating without safety nets. Although Ex-Offender never achieved the iconic status of later Blondie hits like One Way or Another or the chart-topping Call Me, it remains one of the purest expressions of their early identity. It captured the moment before polish replaced provocation, before the underground collided fully with the mainstream. For Zappa, that moment mattered. Punk rock, at its core, was not about volume or speed. It was about defiance. Ex-Offender embodied that spirit without relying on cliches. It confronted uncomfortable realities, mocked expectations, and resisted easy interpretation, all qualities Zappa consistently championed. In that sense, the song functioned less as an anomaly in Zappa's taste and more as confirmation of his values. Whether evaluating progressive rock, jazz fusion, or punk, he looked for the same thing: artists willing to risk misunderstanding in pursuit of something honest. Decades later, Ex-Offender stands as both a historical artifact and a quiet endorsement from one of music's most uncompromising figures. It marks the beginning of Blondie's ascent and serves as a reminder that even Frank Zappa, famously skeptical, famously exacting, could recognize brilliance when it arrived in unexpected form. And in the sprawling, chaotic world of punk rock, this was the one song that earned his respect.